Oh, well, we just blew through a bunch of cold open material.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The struggles are remote, right?
Yeah.
We'll figure out a process here within, about a year or so we'll have it all figured out?
Yeah. Just one more year and we'll be good to go. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan, and I'm in a different place than Jake.
Yeah. Roberto's stuck at work, so it's just me and Dan. And no one listening is going to know this, but Dan is not in the room with me.
I am not. I am about an hour and a half away from you now.
Yeah.
And now and forever.
Forever.
But for a long time, we were way more than an hour and a half away from each other. You were about 11 hours of a plane flight away from me.
Yeah. Last week, me and Jenna went to Tahiti, so we did not post an episode last week.
Why didn't you take all your shit down to Tahiti with you? You took whiskey down there, but you didn't take...
I thought about it. Yeah, so I brought a bottle of Knob Creek that was a Gold Eagle pick. I think it was the 9.5 year. So I had a little bit of that. I got like little less than halfway through the bottle. Then I left the rest for the hotel staff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you start taking away my traditions of taking whiskey on vacation? Did you?
Yeah, I forgot a mini bottle. I was gonna do a picture making fun of you where I was just standing like on the patio. But yeah, I forgot to bring a mini bottle.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm used to it. But how was Tahiti overall?
It was really nice. It rained a lot because it's the rainy season for them. Mm-hmm. It's their summer because they're on the other half of the equator. So it rained like kind of predictably, which was kind of good. Where like in the morning we could kind of like get up, get breakfast, and then go to the beach for a little bit. Or we did kayak around the resort a couple days, which is pretty nice. Mm-hmm. Then usually around lunchtime it would rain, so we'd just go into the restaurant and have lunch. And then it would stop raining by like 1 o'clock. Go back out to the beach or go back to the room. Then it would usually rain in the afternoon. Then sometimes it went through dinner, so we just have to pick and choose if we were going to go out for dinner or have something, room service or whatever. But it was nice because it wasn't like torrential downpours with like massive like windstorms and stuff. It just like rained straight down, so we could like sit out on our patio and just kind of look at the ocean, which is nice.
Nice.
Because like if you're gonna have to deal with rain, that's the way to have to deal with it.
Is it mainly rum drinks down there then, or what were you guys drinking besides the whiskey you took with you?
Yeah, there's a lot of rum. I looked at like what whiskey they had. They really had like not that much in terms of variety or overall selection. They had Jack Daniels, of course.
Yeah.
Fireball. Then they had usually like 2 or 3 scotches. Almost every place I saw had Talisker.
Okay.
Which is an Islay, I think. It's a little peaty. It's not as peaty as a lot of the other Islay scotches. But then they had a lot of gin, so I had a lot of gin drinks. But I had a lot of just rum and pineapple juice. Mm-hmm. Because they had some really good dark rum. So I was just drinking that with pineapple juice. And the pineapple juice there is like legit like straight out of the pineapple, like no bullshit. So it was pretty good.
Nice. Nice. Well, that's cool. I mean, it's nice and rainy this evening here in Illinois. I mean, it's probably very similar. It's been gray for about a month and a half now.
Yeah.
So at least there's no snow.
Yeah, it's been surprising how warm this winter has been so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I will say it's been nice because I moved over the weekend. Packed up and left the suburbs.
I was conveniently out of town, so.
Yeah. I wouldn't ask for your help anyways. I didn't want anything broke.
Yeah.
But no, I had, let's see here, I closed Thursday, and then I moved Friday and set up Saturday, Sunday. I'm to the point now where I think like 90 to 95% of my house is done with everything I have. I still got the garage to set up, and I need to get that set up to be able to find the tools I need to finish setting stuff up in my house. But
no, yeah.
I will say the biggest pain in the ass of the entire move is all the whiskey. Mm-hmm. And my collection is minuscule compared to Roberto and you. I didn't count. It's going to be easy to count now because I bought a new shelf. But there's less than 70 bottles. But by the time, and then there's the cordials and the wine and all the other bullshit. But just like setting up the whiskey room, I had like this whole master layout in my head before I came down here. And I came down here, and the first thing I did is like, well, I don't want that shelf to go there anymore. And then I started moving stuff around, and then you start unpacking everything. You're like, okay, what's going to go on the top shelf second? Then like all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's just start with the bottom shelf. That'll be
like,
easy.
Oh shit, I have way more stuff than I thought.
Yeah, and then like you're 3 shelves up, and you're like, shit, now I got to start pushing all this stuff together again because the other stuff's not going to fill the next 3 shelves. And the whole plan changed around, but
yeah, well, and like at your other house, your collection was pretty consolidated on like in the barrel, and then on your the little like hutch thing, right?
Yep.
Like, so it looked very small, so it was a little deceptive.
Yeah, that's true. And then I had some other like some of the like the local stuff in another area, and but I do have a couple extra spots on the shelf now the way I have it set up. And then I did set up the room where I can like have another wall-mounted shelf like I did before. But nice. The goal is going to be not to have to do that. The goal is going to be to start drinking 2 down and buy 1 back, 2 down, buy 1 back, and get back down to that 50 range, which I liked. But
a man with a plan.
We'll see. I have a feeling now that I work at a distillery, there's going to be more whiskey showing up quite often. Like it was funny because at the we had their holiday party late, and they had a raffle prize for gifts. And when they do, and all distilleries, like if you were going to buy a single barrel, you yourself, Jake, can only buy full cases, and there's 6 in a case for them. So let's say there's 3 or 4 bottles left over in an extra case. It's not a full case. You can't buy those because it's got to be a full case. Oh. So then they have all these partials from single barrels that they do. And the person who got the worst door prize got the first pick of what bottle they wanted. And it was funny because there's about 30 or 40 employees there, and everyone knew which were everyone was wanting to get a crappy prize to get the barrel pick that they wanted. So, like, it was funny because I got a Bose speaker, and I'm like, dang it, I really could have used another bottle of 719.
Yeah. That's the rye, right?
Yeah, that was a Benny's Barrel Pick rye that they did that was phenomenal.
Which is fantastic.
But no, so I got stuck with a Bose speaker.
That's all right. Was that the only like gem that they had, or was there anything else?
No, I think I was the 28th prize out of 32.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's close to the end. So, whatever. Still a good bottle of whiskey and free, but I'm sure I'll be getting some more of their stuff just because that happens all the time. So,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to be upset at a barrel-proof single barrel pick, you know.
Yeah, for a bottle that retails for $60-$70 to get one for free on top of a Bose speaker, like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm all moved in. The whiskey room just finished getting set up today.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. I'll get some better pictures of it, and Shannon can throw them on social. But no, the house is coming together good. I'm gonna plan a housewarming party for all you guys here pretty soon, but there might be a possibility that someone might be coming up from Texas. So I'm trying to coordinate if they're going to come up from Texas to see if that'll work. So
Nice.
yeah. But that's been the majority of stuff I'm up to. Nice to have you back from Tahiti. I'm sure it's not nice to be back
Yeah.
from a tropical paradise, but
Yeah. The first day we went to the pool, and I got burnt real bad. So I was just they had like, the lounge chairs that like kind of sit half in the water.
yep. So
Like
you
I
never
sat
feel
on
yourself.
that.
Yep. Don't feel
Yeah.
yourself getting hot.
Well, like I didn't put any sunscreen on, which was mistake number one. And I was like, I'm only going to sit here for like a minute, then I'll go sit under, the umbrella. It just felt so nice. I was like, I'm just going to keep sitting here. And Jenna was like, are you going to put sunscreen on? And I was like, I'm splashing water on myself. I'll be okay. I was
Yeah,
not.
that works perfect.
By dinner time, I was like lobster red. I was like, this was not a good decision.
Well, since I guess we can talk about this a little bit too, is we know we're going to get back to our weekly schedule here,
Yep.
which we've been off for the holiday months and Roberto's move and my move and vacations. But we'll get back into the swing of things now. It'll be interesting to see if we're going to be doing a bottle each week or if we start mixing some interviews and things in as well. Just because now that we have 3 people in 3 different locations, it might be hard for all of us to find a certain bottle of some time. I mean, we could, if something accidentally showed up in the mail and I don't know how it got sent to me or vice versa, like that could always be a possibility too.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, essential oils, well,
yeah. But no, I think it'll be
all kinds of cool things could show up.
Yeah. But like we've talked about getting some more interviews booked up, and maybe we just have some interview things. And I know we'll probably tweak the format a little bit here and there. But are we going to call this season 2, episode 1? Is this? I mean, it's been over a year. We want to start season 2 now. Well, I guess we should have talked about this before we started hitting the stream button.
It might as well be.
Fresh start. Everyone's in a new spot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we did do one episode in January. We did the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. Well, it's still January. But our last episode was at Heaven Hill. So check that out. But yeah, I guess this probably should be season 2. Because our anniversary was last week, I think.
I think so.
While I was gone. So yeah, I guess this would be season 2.
So it's season 2 Electric Boogaloo then.
Yeah.
Since we can't use the Electric Boogaloo for the other thing we wanted to have
Yeah.
to use it for. Thanks to Illinois' great laws.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna, just for season 2, we did Taylor Single Barrel last year early on.
Yeah.
And we just talked about doing just straight small batch Taylor. It's obviously out of Sazerac. We both got a bottle sitting out. Comes in a nice little cardboard tube. This is one that a lot of liquor store owners hate getting in because it's something that everyone always asks for.
Yep.
It's a $35 bottle, and it's Buffalo's Mash Bill number 1, which would be the same as Buffalo Trace Mash Bill, which would be the same as, I should have really looked all these up.
It's Eagle Rare, I think, right?
Eagle Rare, Rock Hill.
Yeah.
No. Is Rock Hill 1?
Or no, Rock Hill's number 2, I think.
Rock Hill, I think, is 2. But, yeah, they named it after Colonel Taylor himself, which is one of the whiskey barons back in the late 1800s, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. When they were big. So Colonel Taylor's probably the biggest thing he's known for a lot of things. When we talked about, when we did our top 5 findable early last year, I did about the Pepper Distillery, and he helped James Pepper with money to get his distillery up and running, and then when James Pepper didn't pay him, he took that distillery back and then sold it to what ended up becoming Woodford. But he was big on the Bottle and Bond Act, which is what this is. It's Taylor Bottled and Bond, which there's a lot of shitty whiskey being produced and a lot of things being added. He was making stuff the right way, the good way, wanted to make sure that people knew they were getting a good product. So predating the FDA, the first really basically regulations on any type of food or food or beverage was the Bottled and Bond Act.
Yep.
Where it had to be 100 proof, had to be aged at least 4 years in a federally bonded warehouse, and one distillery in one season. Was the 4 criteria it had to make to be able to be called Bottled and Bond. And if you bought a bottle of Bottled and Bond back then, you knew you were getting legit things. And now that's because of Colonel Taylor himself, which is a nice little... Buffalo does a lot of nods with their names to people that helped change the industry.
Yep.
But
mash bill number 1 is Buffalo Trace, Old Carter, Benchmark, both Stags, Eagle Rare, and E.H. Taylor.
Yeah, Rock Hills too.
Yep.
Yeah, I said it early on. This is one that people are always trying to hunt down and look for. It's a $35 bottle. Jake, why do you think the appeal is so high for it?
I think the retail value on it is pretty damn good. It's tasty, and it comes in a tube, so you know.
I should have brought it. I should have brought it. It's in my kitchen. What I did, because I have to find things to do with bourbon things, is I actually cut my tube off right here, and then made it, put some stuff inside of it, and sealed the inside, and it holds my kitchen utensils now.
Yeah.
Because I had to think of something to do.
The other thing about it is that it's bottled in bond, which I think every single Taylor is.
Yes, they're all the barrel proofs. All those are all bib.
Yeah, so it's 100 proof, at least 4 years. I think they say it's 6. Typically,
yeah, they don't.
Something
They don't
that.
put an age statement on it, but from what general consensus is 6 to 8.
Yeah,
Same as a lot of the Buffalo Trace stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good value at retail. But I think, with the general hype of Buffalo Trace, it's just one of those things that's really sought after.
Yeah. And hopefully within 6 to 8 years we should be able to see this quite more on the shelves, just because Buffalo Trace a couple months ago put in another 60,000 gallon still. And
Yeah,
that's not a 60,000 gallon still. That's another 60,000 gallon still, and that's per day. They're pumping out 120,000.
Last week it went online for the first time, I think. So yeah, they're pumping out a enormous amount of alcohol currently.
Yeah. Which, I mean, fingers crossed, in 4 to 6 years we start seeing some of the Wellers and the Taylors and the Eagle. Well, Eagle's 10, but hopefully we start to see some of that. Maybe, who knows, by the time we're old and gray, we might be able to see Pappy on a shelf again.
Oh, yeah. This year, actually, I think there was a larger Pappy drop.
Yeah, there was
than normal.
Yeah, and I don't think it was to production. I just think some of their stuff aged better. Because last year, in 2021... Well, I guess that'd be 2 years ago now. But 2021, they didn't like Stag, so they dumped out all the Stag Senior barrels.
Yeah.
So I'm just guessing a lot of the stuff met the flavor profile they were looking for.
Yeah, they could have just had a better batch or whatever the case was this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about the Colonel, which Blanton was a Colonel also, wasn't he?
No, I don't think he was.
Maybe he wasn't.
I don't think he was.
Well, yeah, maybe Taylor's the only Colonel then in the Buffalo.
Because I think Blanton and Elmer were just distillers at Buffalo.
Yeah, you're right. But Taylor also,
because Blanton was a really nerdy looking guy. But
right.
But again, Colonel Taylor's not a colonel in like a military colonel. He's a
No.
colonel the same
He's
way
a
that
Kentucky Colonel.
he's the same way that a fried chicken guy is a colonel.
Yeah. But Taylor also started what is now it's the building for Castle and Key. Which was originally, what was it, like the Taylor Distilling Co. or something like that?
I think it was Old Taylor Distillery.
Yeah, something like that. And that's not very close to Buffalo Trace, is it?
That was outside.
It was right by Woodford, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was originally the Pepper Distillery.
Yes.
So it makes sense that they were close by.
Yeah.
Because they were buddies.
Yep. Well, financial buddies. Until they were buddies until Taylor took his distillery back because he wasn't getting his money. But yeah, and the cool thing with what's now Castle and Key, formerly the Old Taylor, is when Taylor built that was built to be like a getaway distillery, one of the first in the U.S. So they were kind of like looking at the old vineyards and stuff in Spain and France, and there's like these destination wineries and things, and they decided to make a destination distillery. There's a train track not too far away that people could come in on the train, things like that. Beautiful. I mean, the reason they call it Castle and Key is because part of the distillery looks like a friggin' castle.
Yeah.
But,
You can check out I think we did an episode on Castle and Key
yeah.
a while back, where I think you talk about it in a lot of detail. And then in the Kentucky episode, I think you talk about it as well, because you're the only one that went.
Suckers, I wasn't working. I had time to do whatever the hell I wanted to.
All right, well, let's get into the whiskey.
So it is definitely a lighter color. It's doesn't have that dark of the reddish brown hues to it. It's pretty light, caramely colored.
Yeah, it's not as dark as some of the other ones that we've looked at recently.
Mm-hmm.
Which Buffalo Trace, I think, does char 3 on everything, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. They're not, but like Elmer's still pretty light too. But
Yeah.
some of the stags are darker, but those are, It's, I don't know, I get a little green. I don't get like the cinnamon and baking spices or anything out of this. This is more of a green apple, sweeter fruiter note.
Yeah, it's definitely got some sweet and like maybe some like tart, like the green apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like no spice.
No. By the way, thanks for supporting the Bourbon Matters Glencairns that were for the show.
Oh, this was just up in the studio.
Jerk.
Next time.
I do have my Bourbon Matters barrel topper, but it's in the whiskey room with everything else. My office is a little bit more modern themed, so I went with that. I mean, it's the reason we said it's highly sought after. It's hard to find. They don't put it out on shelves most of the time. For the price, the flavor, it's extremely easy drinking.
Yeah. I'm getting some like almost like citrusy, like citrus peel notes on the nose too.
Mm-hmm.
Like some orange, lemon.
I mean, there's some people. There's a lot of Taylor haters out there just because they hate the people that are always trying to find it.
Yeah. Well, and the aftermarket for it is really stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of it. I think, is it overhyped? I don't think it's overhyped for the value. Is it overhyped as a Taylor's one of the best things out there? I don't think I'd go that far by any means.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best whiskey available. I mean, it's damn good for $35-$40.
At 100, coming in at 100 proof.
Yeah, and we'll get to the tasting notes in a second. But I mean, at 100 proof, this is like an incredibly tame drinking 100 proof whiskey.
Yeah.
There's not much ethanol bite at all. and what is there kind of fades away very quickly.
Mm-hmm. I do get a little bit of cerealness, some of the cereal grains out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of spice on the finish, but not much.
Yeah, there's a little bit there. I do get some of that like citrus peel kind of note.
A little bit of the bitterness
finish.
of it.
Yeah, there's like, what's the white part? The pith or whatever. Like that's kind of a little bit of that. And then kind of like the like when you express a peel, like the kind of like oils. That's the kind of notes I'm getting on the finish. The palate is very like cereal, and pretty sweet. That like corn sweetness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good, easy drinking whiskey. If you're newer into whiskey, it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy. I don't think this is like a I don't want to say advanced person whiskey, but this is something I'd always want to have on the shelf. There's not a lot of complexity to it. It's very, very tame, very mellow, very one note.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but you don't get a ton of it doesn't take you for a wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell it's well crafted.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you don't get that like the depth of flavor that you get in other things. And it's probably because when they're batching this, they're batching it in massive quantities, and it's they're very scientific about how they build those batches at Buffalo Trace, from like all the different locations in the warehouses, and the ages of the barrels and everything. So the consistency is pretty spot on from bottle to bottle. It's like it's very much not a single barrel.
Well, what did they say? Don't they have like a team of like 20 or 30 or 40 people that taste everything before they'll put the name on it?
Yeah, it was like, I think between 10 and 20 people that all taste a bunch of samples, and they kind of, it's like their blending team.
Yeah.
And they say like, okay, these several barrels are all good, and then they try and like fine tune the flavor to be whatever the like default Taylor, flavor profile is.
Yeah. Let's talk about it a little bit differently then. So if I think if you're someone that has a type of or has a whiskey collection, this is something that you're probably always going to want on your shelf, or more than likely. I mean, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I would say most collections you'd want to have a bottle of this on the shelf.
Yeah.
If you've been collecting for a while, you definitely don't want to overpay for it.
No.
And I think we've all gone through that phase too of early on, if we saw a bottle that we could get for 50, 60, 75 bucks, we were buying it.
It's almost like when you see it for the first time, it's like, oh my God, like, it's like it very like, it's like almost like a panic buy kind of feeling. Like I need to get it, no matter what it costs. And then as you like continue looking for things, it's like, oh, if I show up at Benny's on like any particular Wednesday at like noon, they might be on the shelf, you know? And like, so it's not like as difficult to find as you might think. And then like, if you have, a good relationship with a liquor store, they're usually sitting on like a few of them that they'll be willing to let go,
Yeah.
And again, that's all about just knowing somebody who's not going to screw you on the price, but
right. Yeah, I mean, you'll see some outrageous prices for this is just a small batch. It's the light red color on the tube.
Yep.
I would say if going back and seeing what I've spent on stuff in the past when I would overspend, I would say if you could find it for your first bottle and really wanted one for 50, 60 bucks, maybe a hair more than that for one bottle for a one time is worth it, because there's a lot of $90 whiskeys that you can walk into a liquor store and see all the time, and that's their MSRP, that aren't anywhere as good as this.
Right.
So at that point, yes, but if you've got it, you've got a collection. It's not that hard of a hunt once you know the game.
Yeah, and honestly, this one's worth waiting for until you get like a good relationship with someone that'll give it to you for MSRP. And like, everything just tastes better at MSRP.
Right? Yeah. No, it's good. Anything in the Taylor lineup. So small batch, we did the single barrel, which I had some of the single barrel after I got moved in. I think it was Saturday night. I was dead tired, and I was sitting on my couch, and I'm like, cheers, motherfucker. We're having some single barrel. But, I mean, the barrel proofs are so good.
The barrel proof is fantastic. The single barrel is really good.
The rye was your religious awakening.
Yeah. We did that in October, I think. So you can go and check that out. And the single barrel was like episode 3 or something of the show. So both of those are available to hear our notes on those. But yeah, I mean, the rye is like one of my favorites. It's just so good. And yeah, it was like the first, I'd say like tier 2 whiskey I ever had. Mm-hmm. And it was like something that I thought I'd never even see in real life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty incredible, and it's definitely stuck with me.
Speaking of Sazerac Ryes, we posted the picture, but I don't think we ever talked about the day we had Pappy Rye.
Oh yeah, we went to Consume and had the Van Winkle Family Reserve Rye, which I think is a 13-year-old.
Something like that, yeah.
And like, my lord, it's so good.
Yeah. It wasn't a cheap pour. I'm glad I did it, because I don't know if I'll ever come across a bottle of that.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. Some of those things that are you put on a pedestal that you know you're probably going to have a very small chance of ever walking across. To try one and spend a little bit more for a pour once. Do I think overall it was worth the price of the pour? I definitely don't think the value was $80 for that pour. But for the experience to have it, I would say I'd spend that $80 every once in a while to try some of that weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, get to try it, like one time, it's like, okay. But yeah, I mean, considering I could buy a whole bottle of whiskey, really good whiskey for $80, that's not something I would do on like a regular basis.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, like the odds of coming across that bottle are like slim to none. I've only seen it in the wild once on a bar in Antioch at a liquor store, and at Consume. So like, it's not something that's.
Yeah.
I don't think they produce much of it, because that's. I think the Taylor Rye and the Van Winkle Rye are the only ryes that Buffalo Trace produces.
I think you're right on that.
I mean, there's like the BTAC stuff, like
right,
Thomas
the Sazerac
Handy,
18, the Thomas
Sazerac.
Handy.
But I mean, those are very small quantities compared to the rest of their stuff. So
you have a kosher rye, the Buffalo Trace kosher rye.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they do have that. So hopefully they're expanding. I'd love to get a Van Winkle rye that's like out on the shelf. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, all the Buffalo Trace stuff all has that hype around it. There's haters. I think the biggest thing with this is just don't be that guy that walks into every single liquor store. Hey, you got a Taylor? Hey, you got a Taylor? Hey, what do you got in the back? You got a Taylor in the back? That's not how you're going to get one. You talked about the best ways is establish a relationship, and just feel them out and keep an eye out and hunt. You'll find it if you start hunting for it.
Yeah, and like the other thing is like, don't be the guy that's always looking for only Buffalo Trace. Because, like, there's so many other good distilleries, too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, just don't even ask for Pappy.
No, they're not going to have it.
Yeah. It comes out, like, once a year, usually. But everybody usually gives it, or puts it on sale in, like, December.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to ask, make sure you're have a good relationship first.
Yeah.
And you're not going to, like, just annoy the shit out of whoever you're asking.
Right. No, Taylor's solid top to bottom. You know, Roberto always talks about Mellocorn being one of the best bottled and bond values, which, by the way, inflation's hit it because I've seen it on the shelves now for $20.
Yeah, that's
and they're not raising the price on bottom shelf liquor because it's Mellocorn. It's up to $20.
Yeah.
This at 35, is it almost twice as much as Mellocorn? That's a bib. Yes. Is Roberto totally wrong thinking that that's a better value than this? Yes.
Yes. 100%.
I just love to shit on him when he's not here.
Yeah. Oh, God. The Mellocorn is just, like, not... I mean, it's okay.
No, there's nothing wrong with it, but I would pay twice as much for this over a Mellocorn any day. Now, you're not going to be able to find this every day, but still, at that...
Right.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of $20 bottled and bond bourbons that
Old
are
Granddad.
alternatives to...
Yeah. And you know what? But everyone has their flavor profile. Everyone has their things they like. You can't shit on somebody unless it's Roberto, and then you can shit on him. But
all day, every day.
Nice. Well, other than that, what else do we got to talk about today? I mean, football playoffs are going on. We're not fourth dram, so we won't talk about football playoffs.
Yeah, and neither of our teams are in it, so...
Yeah. I one of my friends, he's a Vikings fan, and after Green Bay lost the game to the Lions, he sent me a picture of it was a meme picture of a banner flying at Ford Field that said, "Knock the Packers out of the playoffs 2022-2023." And he's a Vikings fan, and he was happy that they were in the playoffs. And I just responded back with two things. I said, "Wow, now Detroit has one more banner than the Vikings have." And then I sent him a picture of the Super Bowl trophy room at Lambeau Field with all four just suspended from the ceiling in glass cylinders. Mm-hmm. Be like, how does your trophy room compare to this one?
When's the last time the Vikings won?
They've never won a Super Bowl.
Never?
No. They, what was it? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, Gary Anderson or Morton Anderson, one of the Anderson kickers who had never missed a field goal all year, missed a field goal to send them to the Super Bowl.
Oh.
And that was the closest they got. No, they're one step above the Lions in terms of playoffs.
Yeah. Well, the Bears have the first overall pick, so let's see how they screw that up.
They'll figure it out easily. We were talking about it. It was funny because I was on a bowling league team, and I had my last week there, and this week they were talking. They did every once in a while they'd do theme nights for dress up. So they did NFL night, and I guess four of them all wore Justin Fields jerseys. And I was in the group chat. They're like, "Oh shit, we never got our picture with all four of the Fields jerseys together." And I just responded. I wasn't at this bowling event because I was down here. I just responded, "Don't worry, in 2 years you can all get a picture with a new quarterback jersey for the Bears."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why is he still in our chat?" What I did say, though, I said, I think the way the Bears will screw it up is they'll pull out what the Vikings did a few years ago and just miss their pick. They'll be on the clock. They won't get it called in time, and then four other teams will pick.
Yeah, just watch.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, Taylor's great.
Yeah. Overall, buy it if you see it at retail. If you're really desperate, I guess pay over retail. But I wouldn't.
If you're getting into bourbon, we were all there. And would I say it was a mistake that I overpaid for my first Taylor? I didn't overpay by much. I think I paid $50 for it.
Yeah, which is not.
I'm not gonna I'm not saying I'd ever pay $50 for it again, but for my first time, yeah, I was fine with it. You live and you learn, though.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing about a growing collection is if you're starting out and you see it, grab it. Don't pay. There's no reason to pay over $70, $75 for this bottle.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I saw a friend of mine sent me a picture where they had Taylor and Weller Special Reserve on the shelf. And it was $140 for Taylor and $120 for Weller Special Reserve.
Yeah, which is completely
Which is dumb. Call the store owner an idiot and walk out.
Yeah.
But
the problem is some people do it, though.
yeah.
Yeah, so, don't support the secondary market. That means people who overprice whiskey on the shelf.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that's selling it for less. Go support those people.
Yeah. And again, if you're looking for those, your big liquor stores are going to have the most allocation of it. But there's also the most people there that are friendly already with the store owner. So if you're going to go that route, take some time, build up a relationship. If you have a mid-sized store that's not like a very small chain, but it's the owner's works there, or your other small liquor stores that have a decent selection, you know that they're probably getting some in. Just be friends with the person, buy some stuff. Don't always ask for those allocations. We talked about it early on. Ask for their recommendations, buy some of their normal stuff, and then after you've started to build relationships, hey, I'm looking for a Taylor. If you ever get one in, could you let me know?
Yeah. Just look and see if it looks like a store that moves a lot of Fireball. It's probably a good bet.
That's true. That's true. Although I am in a college town now, so I hopefully can stumble across some more of those stores because I'm sure there's a lot of Fireball being drank down here.
I'm sure.
But well, Jake, I don't think we can really do a cheers anymore.
No, I gotta record a cheers sound so we can.
That doesn't really do it. I'm just banging the glass on the mic. It's not doing a good job. Well, I got a puffer thing on mine. I can't.
All right.
But, all right. Next episode, we'll do another one next week. We'll figure that out as we go, but we'll be back on a regular basis. Let's say that so we have to do it.
Yeah.
And not get lazy next week.
Yeah, we will be back next week.
Sounds good.
Power of positive thought.
Power of positive thought. That's the great way to end the episode. Oh, you know what? We can't end the episode yet. We haven't talked about where people can find us on social media.
That's true. Because Roberto's not here, I guess I'll do that job. You can find us on Instagram at Bourbon Matters, and search us on Facebook at Bourbon Matters as well. You can go to our website, bourbonmatterspodcast.com. You can listen to us pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Stitcher. And then you can watch us on YouTube.
Yeah, and we can see my beautiful SpaceX Canvas I bought before Elon Musk kind of went off the deep end with a nice Falcon Heavy blowing off into the sky. But all right, guys, that was fun. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Cheers.